Hello everyone, I'm starting this video series because I want to teach people animation. I'm no professional by any means, but, you know, I would like to teach people what I know. Um, Currently, I'm going to Animation Mentor, and I am training to become a professional animator myself. And there are some people who are struggling over there, and I wanted to share my knowledge, share my workflow, give some tips on how to use the graph editor, just things like that to help um, guide some people who just don't have a good grasp of it yet. And I also would like to extend that to just more people than just Animation Mentor. I would like to teach other people. I think, that'd be cool. So, yeah, I'm making this probably about 4-part video series on how to become an animator using Maya. Now, I don't know Blender, so you will have to have some kind of access to Maya if you want to learn from my tutorials. So, yeah, the first tutorial is just going to be a jump, and it's going to start from building a reference, uh, taking out the key poses from that reference, and building it from there, and from blocking into spline, and finally into polish. So it's going to take you through the entire process of fully being able to do a jump. And it's really simple, really easy. Well, I can't call it simple or easy, but I will say that my tutorial will guide you through exact step by step of what you need to do. I can't I can teach future fundamentals in future videos, but this is kind of for people who do have some kind of understanding of the fundamentals. But if you follow through exactly what I do in the video, you should come out with a decent animation. Like I said, I'm no professional by any means, but I'm decent enough to share my knowledge, and that's what I'd like to do. All right, anyways, thank you, and please enjoy the video series. Hey y'all, so I wanted to go through my exact process to exactly make an animation from scratch, and that's even from getting a reference, timing out the poses, which I'm sure a lot of people know how to do, but I have a certain way of going about it, which makes it pretty efficient for me. I'm starting off with getting the video itself. Now, any of you guys can record references or whatever. A lot of times I'll like to just find mine from YouTube. And we are just going to do a 1 second long jump. As you can see, from the point where she starts, it's just going to be 1 second long. We're going to go through that entire process of just animating 24 frames. So it's going to be very simple. It's going to get over with really quick. So I will go ahead and download this video. So to do that, I like to copy paste the link and go to this YouTube converter site. I basically just searched this by looking up download YouTube video on Google. Not all these are safe, but every time I've used this one, nothing's happened that's bad, so I trust this one. So just go ahead and go to ssyoutube.com, get rid of this, paste it, and then download the video. I'm just going to put it in my desktop for now. I'll go ahead and name this jump reference. It's fine for me. And save it in here. And get rid of this, of course. Yeah, the worst thing that'll come up on this site are pop-ups, but it's never had me do anything suspicious other than that. So to me, that site is trustworthy enough. So if you want to follow along with me, you can get this exact jump reference from Anticipation Jump Reference from Joanna Lizarrando. I don't know how to pronounce that, but anyways, we will go into the next process. So if you guys have Premiere, I'm just going to use Premiere to cut it to 24 frames per second so that I can put it into Sync Sketch. Let's go ahead and open up Premiere. New project, reference. Okay. Replace that, yeah. And let us bring this video into here. So this is very simple. You just bring it into Adobe Premiere, bring it into this box right here. All you need to do, let's turn down the audio on that. So just press mute right here so that it's not playing through. And I think from here, so that's 1 second or 1.1 second, and let's go to 2.1. So that's where she's still in the air. So this may be like a bit longer than 24 frames, but it's probably just gonna be like 1.5 seconds. So she's in the air, and then she lands and comes back up. All right, 2 seconds long, that's fine. So that would be 3.1. So let's go to 2.1, or 1.1, and take this tool, cut right here, go to 3.1, and cut right here. Get rid of these. If you don't have Premiere, I know that there are other programs that can cut and convert videos like this that are free, like other programs that can do that. But right here we have a very simple jump action right here. So what I'm gonna do now is export this into media, and I'm going to make sure that the frame rate is 24 frames per second. Make sure that the format is H.264 out of all of these different ones. And that's pretty much all you need for something like this. If you're using it as a reference, like, don't even worry about all this stuff. It's just gonna be good enough to get you what you need for your reference. I will go ahead and check use maximum render quality and nothing really else. So let's go ahead and export it. And I exported it into my desktop. I forgot to show where to export it. I'm just exporting it into my desktop. Next time you export it, all you need to do is click on here, output name, and find exactly where you want to export it and the name and everything. So now that I have that, my jump reference, which this is going to be the new one. Yep, that's exactly what I want. I'm going to go into Sync Sketch. So I don't know if you guys have a Sync Sketch account, but like this is exactly what I use for my animations. So let me log in. Alright, as you can see, I already have a bunch of videos here. I'm going to go ahead and add a review, create, add media, your computer, show all files, and I'm going to use this new one that I just created. And once we're done with this, once we've mapped out all of the keyframes that we want to use for the animation, I'm going to import the video into a plane into Maya that we can use in the background. So here, let's click on this. So first things first, we're gonna map out all the keyframes that we see here to get like the best poses possible out of this. So one thing that I like to do is on Sync Sketch, I just click on the screen. Basically, this means like you're drawing on it, but I just like to click on it, just a little dot so it's marked on the timeline. And as you can see here, this is her biggest down. So I click on here. This is another good like transitioning pose. So I'm gonna mark that too. And I'm gonna mark the point where she's first coming off the ground. And I'm also gonna mark this pose. And I'm gonna mark her high pose. And this pose. This pose. This pose. And this pose. So what's good about this is we're going to be able to use this in the background and have the exact amount of like frames that we need and use as a reference for our animation. As you can see, this is only 48 seconds, so an exactly 2-second long animation. Actually, instead of bringing this into Maya, I'm just gonna plop this on the side here so that we can use it. And you can scroll in by middle mouse clicking and holding and going like this. You can drag around with the right mouse button. So I'm gonna go ahead and get like as close as possible. And we're gonna be able to use this as our like background reference. So next thing we do is we bring up an empty Maya. So let's plop the graph. Actually, let me go ahead and close the graph editor. I usually have 2 screens, so it's gonna get a little bit clumped here, but we should be able to work with it either way. Real quick, as another side note, this next part is going to be exclusively for people from Animation Mentor. What I end up talking about is referencing characters from the Animation Mentor site into Maya. Now, this is exclusive to Animation Mentor and not necessarily for people using Maya. So I'll go ahead and quickly show how to do that. This exact same thing that I'm talking about, but for people who aren't an Animation Mentor. So there are plenty of rigs online that are free. All you really need to do is type free animation rigs. And let me see if it's this site. Yeah, it's literally this site. It's the first link that comes up when you type something like that. And there are plenty of good rigs on here. I do not recommend the Dude rig, but one that I'd highly recommend is Ray. You can get his rig from this website. I do think you have to request it, and then they'll email it to you. But there are plenty of rigs here, and all you need to do is download the rig itself and import it into your Maya scene. I'll take a second to do that real quick. So let's see if this one works. So yeah, this one is $0. I'm gonna go ahead and add it to the cart, and we'll go ahead and show how to import a rig into Maya. Okay, so after you typing in your email address, blah blah blah, whatever it asks, it gives you this download. So you'll just go ahead and click here and download the zip, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put it in my desktop so it's easy for you to see. I'm gonna save it, and here it is on my desktop. So I'm gonna go ahead and extract it. And it extracts into this folder. Let's get that out of the way. And you'll be able to find the rig inside right here. Here are his textures. And I'm just going to open another empty Maya scene to show you how this is done. Okay, so I have my Maya scene opened up now, and I have the files for the rig. So all you really need to do is click inside the file on the rig, drag it into your scene. This is the easiest way for me to do it. And eventually he'll pop up in here. Now, as you can see, he doesn't have textures on him. Well, okay. So you just press 6 and his textures will appear, but usually you'd have to reference those textures in. And I'll just show you how to do that just in case you were stuck in the situation where you couldn't. So if I click on all of his, or even like just one of his like textures, or one of his geometry pieces, all you need to do is go into the attribute editor and locate exactly where the Lambert file is. So Lambert body right here. Right now it's referenced into my desktop. So basically all you would do is you would click on that folder button right there, and you would have to find the original location of your file. So all you really need to do is click on the texture JPEG right here, and it will reference the entire texture for the character. So yeah, it's really that easy. Anyways, back to the regularly scheduled program. Let me go ahead and show how to reference someone into my active animation. I'm sure a lot of you already know this, but just in case anyone doesn't know, I want to get all the grounds like covered. Let's go ahead and use Stuart. And we're going to, here's a big tip that I learned recently. Never import into Active Maya Session, always reference it. I'm pretty sure referencing means that it's like referencing based on the original file from the cloud rather than importing it. So I don't know exactly what the difference is, but I've been told it's better to reference. So I'm just going to do that. And now that I've clicked on that, Stuart should be in here. So I'm going to go ahead and press 6 to get him in here. I'm going to go ahead and create a cube, expand it out, bring it in, and plop it right under him. Also, I'm going to get rid of the grid because I never like to use the grid. I know it's useful, but I'm not going to use it. And we have Stuart in here. Now that we have that, let's make sure our jump reference is docked into the top right or bottom right, wherever you want it, honestly. Now I will go ahead and bring up the graph editor. That is Animation Editor's graph editor, and I like to just dock this to the bottom right. Okay, now that we have everything that we want in here, we can start posing things out. So what I like to do, instead of blocking or going into step keys, I still block things out. I just do it in Spline, and I do it one by one. Like, I put a frame right here, a frame right here, a frame right here, frame right here, and so on. And those are just going to be all my key poses. And then once I have all my key poses, I time each frame out to where I think it should be in the animation. And since we marked all the keys down here, we know exactly where they're going to be. So this animation is 48 frames long. So let's make this 48, expand this out, and we can get started. Okay, so here's a tip here. Never put any rotations, any movements on the global control, because I did that during my last animation and I lost 2 weeks worth of progress. So never do that. Just put it in the location where you want it. I'm sure maybe there are going to be some times where you're going to want to use it, but if you're just doing something like a walk, a jump, just general body mechanics, just use it to get your guy in his general location. So we have this first pose here, and it's very simple. Basically, the process that I go through is I make all of my poses as strong as possible before I actually go into breaking these keys apart. So we have the first frame here. Go ahead and bring him down. And for a lot of this, I'm probably just going to put some background music on while I go through this. And I may like speed it up to 1.5 speed or something. And yeah. One thing that I've learned from a lot of mentors is you never really use this to really like have the up and down movement. It's just to like really shape it. So we're really going to use these red controls to shape things out. As you can see, your butt's kind of pointed out there, so I'm gonna drag this back a bit and really try and get this pose down. Also, side note, I'm sure all of you know this because mentors repeat this like all the time. If your character's not coming in contact with anything, like if the hands aren't coming in contact with anything, always use like FK controls. Just a general animation tip. Goal is to just get this sharpened up as much as possible before we go into splined. And now that we have that angle done, let's go ahead and bring out the legs a bit too. And if you imagine yourself like about to jump, sometimes what I like to do is I like to bring my hands to my side as if I'm about to jump so that I know where the elbows are going to be. And one thing that I notice when I do that is I kind of bring my elbows out this way, because you can only see this from one angle. So you got to imagine how it's going to be from the other angles, sometimes just by doing it yourself. And it looks like a clear silhouette. It looks like her body has kind of a curvy shape to it. So I want to get that more translated in my animation, or in my pose. Now, one thing I also like to imagine when I'm about to do the jump is that my wrists are kind of out a bit. So I'm gonna just slightly move these out. And since we're trying to speed through this, I think I can call this like my first pose. Oh, also I forgot the shoulders. So the shoulders you can kind of bring down like this. She's reaching down, so anytime you're going to be reaching down, just like pull these down. Oops. See, that looks pretty good to me compared to the reference. Maybe we can adjust things ever so slightly. But, oh yeah, one thing we can do is bring these out a little bit. And one thing I learned recently is wherever your feet are pointed, your legs are going to be pointed with it. So let's drag these out too. Perfect. So yeah, I'd say that's a good first pose. So I'm going to take every key. Hold on, real quick. So that you don't select something like this, make sure to put all objects and background objects into a layer. So I'm going to make that a layer, set it to R right here for reference, and now when you try and grab it, you can't grab it anymore. So now that that's done, I'm going to set my first key. Press S. So that is your first key of the animation. So let's actually, hold on, let's bring the shoulders down just a little bit more because it looks like from her reference, it looks like she's really pushing it forward here. So bring that just a bit more down, and we'll do the same for the other one too. There we go. It's about right. I like to check my things from all angles so that it looks pretty even. And let's bring this back a little bit more, and this back a little bit more. And I think now we have our first frame. And yeah, I would say that looks pretty close to the original one. So I'm going to go ahead and select all of the keys, press S, and I don't think at any point I'm going to be switching to IK, but if we were, make sure that you select IK bend, and also make sure that these ones are keyed too. Same for this arm. We're not going to do that right now because we really don't need to for this one because she's not like touching anything with our hands. So we're going to go ahead and undo all of that and go back here. So since we're going to be viewing this from the side, I would say probably like right here. We got to make sure that both kind of hands are at least a little bit visible so that it makes the silhouette as clear as possible. So I'm going to bring this like right here, and now you can, I would say for like a visual animation like this, I would say that this is like even more clear. It's just even that subtle detail will make that much of a change in your animation. But now that that's all done, I'm only going to move to frame 2. I don't even like to bring things into stepped mode. I like to keep it in spline and just work frame by frame by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So my second key pose is going to be this one. So I'm gonna try and match this from that. And yeah, we're gonna do that. So it looks like she's brought down a lot here. Looks like she's brought kind of forward, so. And it seems like her body's turning into more of an S curve. So be wary of that, like watch out for that. So I'm gonna bend his body down a bit more. And bring it up. After, I'll show some tips with the graph editor after we get all the key poses in. But now, let's just select this control and bring this shoulder up. Move this back because she's reaching. Let's make sure from the top angle it looks good. It looks like really, the shoulder would be out this way, or the elbow would. So make sure that you're looking at where the elbow is so that you know exactly like when you pose it where it's going to be. So let me see real quick. I want to select everything and just see how this flows. Here's one thing. When you're moving keys across the timeline, all you need to do is select the key right here and click on this middle arrow and then drag it like this. So yeah, this will definitely be something we fix as we go back, but let me see if there aren't any keys that we've like overextended. So it looks like it'll be fine. We'll have to definitely fix this part in posing. So let's go back to where this was. Bring this maybe a little bit more up. And then we'll do the same for the other one. Like I said, there are going to be a lot of parts where I don't really talk when I focus on this animation. So just bear with that. One useful tip, only bend the elbow in one direction. Never bend in this direction because then you're breaking the arm. Hello everyone, adding a quick side note. So what I do with the arm here is completely incorrect and would end up breaking his arm. I later corrected this later on in the video. I actually fix it once and end up not fixing it at the same time. So ignore that part too. It's way later on in the video when you're gonna see when it's like actually fixed. So just bear with that part because his arm's broken right now. So that'll get fixed later on. Alright, thanks. So see, that already looks like a pretty strong pose. We're gonna make a few more additions to it just to really kind of push it. So that already looks like he's about to bring his arms with a big swing. And this pose is mostly done, and we can make any additions we want to it when we come back. So, And it looks like there's a little bit of toe tap right here, just barely, just to bring that anticipation up. And yeah, I think that looks good from this angle. So, select all the keys again, press S, so that all of the keys are marked down, and as we can see, there's now transition between those two parts. So we'll get all the right adjustments in after we have all the keys down. But let's go through this like one key at a time. So next key, that is the point where she will be going forward. So what I like to do is just study it over and over until I get it like locked in my head what she's gonna do. So she's kind of bending her torso like upward as this happens, like whoosh. So let's bring this here. And now it's gone from an S curve back into more of a C curve. And sometimes, so I don't like over rotate it, I'll set it back to 0, because when these rotations end up getting really high, you'll see some like really weird twists. So I'm gonna set this back to 0 to get closer to where I want to get before I end up putting it into its final pose, which we might already have a problem with key pose 1 going into key pose 2 with the arm twisting. But I can show you the process of how to actually get something like that fixed if there is a problem like that. And like I just did with the wrist, I'm gonna set this back to 0 so that it'll try and bend a bit more normally. Set these back to 0 as well. And just because we want the strongest silhouette possible, we're gonna make both arms visible here, so it's gonna be very slightly off from the reference. But sometimes that's what you want to do. The key thing here is to get the best pose down that you can with each like key pose. I'm just gonna kind of extend these fingers out of it as she's raising her hands to get that sense of motion in a little bit more. Let's make sure there's no rotate X on this. Alright, so here's another note. At this point, she's starting to go into her jump. So we are going to put a little bit, let's get rid of that toe tap and put a little bit of foot roll on it. Just barely, as she's starting to get her feet up off the ground. And it looks also like she's a bit more forward. So one thing that I like to do with my animations is I hold Alt and I will alternate between comma and period on your keyboard to really go through each frame to see how it looks. And right now this is starting to look like it's gonna end up turning out pretty well. Alright, so let's make sure that everything looks good from each angle. And to me this looks decent. I'm gonna make sure that this is posed out a little bit more. Let me go back to each of these frames and see if the rotates are too heavy so that there's not any, like, anything happens that could be wrong. Now this rotate Z is extremely high. I want to see if I can achieve the same thing with the less high rotations, just so that there isn't any weird twisting in it. So I'm going to go into my graph editor here and see if we can get the same rotation the other way and see how it looks. So that would be X137. So one thing I will do is I will go through these. I will select both of them. I like to, all you need to do is shift click and drag to select multiple keys and select the arrow in the middle to drag it out. And I just want to see how this transition is. See, it looks like there's some weird twisting there. And I need to think about this as if I'm really pushing my arm back, what would it be doing? And it would kind of drag back like this. So we're gonna fix that more when we actually get to that part. But for now, the rotations aren't insane. Real quick, I want to see the difference between this one. See, like that, it's clipping into his body. That's why I went in and fixed the rotations on that, because you can achieve the same thing by pushing the rotations in a different direction, the way that the body is supposed to bring them up to. So that's just me trying to fix that. So I'm going to do the same thing with this one. Anytime you see a rotation go past 180, it means it's done a full circle past what it's supposed to do. So that's exactly why I'm doing this. So I'm going to push this rotation up as well. And that should be better on this side. Hello again. I wanted to thank everyone for watching. This took a bit longer than expected, but parts 2, 3, 4, and I don't know if there will be a 5 or not. It just depends. We'll just have to see. All I know is I'm probably going to keep doing videos in the future, like tutorials and stuff, because I find it a lot of fun. So I hope you guys really like that, and I hope you learned something from it. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. Bye.